Hello, everyone. Dr. T here, wearing a warrior shirt. Good morning, afternoon, wherever you are. I just got off doing a virtual keynote for a wonderful company called Stiletto Make a Point, not the shoe company, but actually one of the most innovative companies I've ever spoken to. They work with research parks, government entities, clusters, and are just led by the most amazing woman, Laura Ablanis. And so just got off that about 10 minutes ago, and I'm heading today to Denver to work with Colorado Bureau of Investigation with my brother from another mother, John McCaskill. So always full life and really enjoying it. Got to kiss my boys goodbye. They're definitely expecting a surprise on the other end of this trip. And I'm hoping I don't get sick. So I'm going to start wearing a mask when I'm on the airplane, because it seems like between children, animals, whatever is going around, there's always something that I catch when I'm traveling. So that's on the more on the personal note, and professional note. But I'm excited to be here today with you. I've got about 15 minutes I'm going to spend sharing with you about how to assess yourself, especially your lower back, because a lot of us, going to the doctor or physical therapy, like there's sometimes a lot of unnecessary time spent there, especially for those of us that aren't being proactive about our health and well-being. And the more proactive you are, the less time you have to spend with your medical providers, at least for 70% of the cases, right? The things that we can control, up to 70% of our health and well-being can be controlled by our lifestyle, is impacted by our lifestyle, actually, not controlled, impacted. And so today, I really want to focus on the lower back and teaching you to assess your lower back. And there's a few tests that I want to do. And then I'm also going to provide you some resources to help you with your lower back. So those points that you find when we assess our lower backs, the 3 things I'm going to show you today, if you struggle with any one of those, then I want to give you some tips and tricks and drills that can help you with that. However, I'm going to have to provide a link later. I know Dr. Marissa is on, and Marissa, I wanted to provide them the Lifestyle RX, which is a link to this sheet of like some of the most impactful well-being self-mobilizations that you can do. And so, but first, let's do self-assessment. Why is self-assessment so important? Well, first of all, to get where you want to go, right? If you want to be healthier, sleep better, move better, you got to really understand where you are now. Like, where do you have to work on your movement? What components of sleep do you need to work on? Or mental performance? Where do you need to focus your attention? Because it can be a lot. You go on Dr. Google, and usually it's going to tell you have 2 weeks to live, versus giving you really accurate information. And so today we're not going to focus on the entire whole being today. We're going to focus on the lower back. Yet what we're going to be testing today is areas above and below that lower back area, because usually the lower back, there's a reason it's causing pain. There's a cause somewhere, and it's usually not in the lower back. You may have a bulge disc, a herniated disc, stenosis, or anything, something like that. Stenosis is narrowing of the spinal canal. But really the cause of those things, where is it coming from? Typically, there's a lack of strength in your hips. Maybe you sit too much. Maybe you had an old injury and you just become more sedentary and your glutes are really weak. Or you don't have good spinal rotation, and or you have too little flexion or too much flexion bending in your back. So if you have problems in those areas, that's where we want to focus our attention. And because 8 out of 10 adults experience low back pain in the course of their lifetime, this is a really important area to focus, because it can take you out of the game of life. How many of you have just let yourselves go or stopped considering yourself an athlete or active because of your low back pain, right? Many, many people do that. So let's start. We're actually going to do some movement together. Now, the lower back, right? Above it's our thoracic spine, and below it is our hips. So the first test we're going to do is literally just standing and touching our toes. So I want everyone to stand up I'm going to move my chair to the side, and I want you to put your feet together, okay? Keep your legs nice and straight, and then bend over and touch your toes. Can you keep your legs straight when you bend over and touch your toes? Yes or no, right? If your knees bend, so take note of that. If you bend over, you're keeping your legs straight and you can't touch your toes, where are you touching? Your knees, your mid-shins? Take note of that, right? And do it 3 times. Bend over and touch your toes 3 times, okay? So I want you to write down, can you go further past your toes? Do you touch your toes? If you can't, what's happening? Your knees are bent. Where do you touch? Write that down, right? That's an objective measure for yourself. And also, how does it feel? Do you feel it in your lower back, or do you really feel a pull in your hamstrings? When you bend over, ideally, you want to feel a nice pull in those hamstrings of yours and glutes. So the next test is a thoracic rotation test. And I want you to get on, you can stay standing for this, put one leg forward, one leg back, okay? And what I want you to do here, actually, no, I don't want you to do that. I want you to put both knees together or both feet together, okay? And I want you to put your arms across your chest like this, okay? And I want you to rotate. Keep your shoulders nice and level, right? I'm on my knees right now, but ideally I want you standing with your feet together. Arms across your chest. Go ahead and rotate. And can your back shoulder, the shoulder that's rotating back, can you reach about a 45-degree angle to the wall? Yes or no? And then go the other way. Can you reach about a 45-degree angle? What does it feel like? Left to right. Do you feel a difference? Is it easier going to the left, or is it easier going to the right? Today it's harder for me to go to the right, right? Sometimes it might depend on the day. I'm just going to stay on my knees here. Actually, this next test is not on your knees, or standing. First test is standing over and touching your toes. Second test is thoracic rotation. So this last test we did is testing how mobile that mid back is, okay? How mobile is it for you? What's the difference left to right, okay? Now we're going to do the single leg squat test. So you're going to get to your chair. And why are we doing this? Well, we need to see how strong your hips are, okay? So what you're going to do is we're going to put the timer on. I'm going to put my timer on for 1 minute. Okay. How many? 30. I'm going to time myself for 30 seconds. How many squats, single leg squats, can I do in 30 seconds? So I'm standing here. Okay. I lift one leg up. I'm going to sit down to my chair and come back up. Okay. So we're going to do this for 30 seconds. Ready, steady, go. 1, 2. I'm trying to balance on one leg. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, taking note of how it feels, 2, 7, 8, 9. Okay, 30 seconds is up. Now I'm going to do the other side, but I'm going to give myself a 30-second break. All right, so I'm going to take note. Left side is 8 reps. Didn't quite finish that 9-1. 8.5. So now I'm going to go and do the other side. Take my coat off for this. All right, here we go. So now I'm going to test the strength of my other leg, and I'll explain why these all are so important again to you all coming on. Okay, here we go. 1, single leg squat to a chair. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, 10. Good. 10. So I'm going to make a note. Right leg, 10. I have some work to do on my hip strength. Now, ideally, you want to get to 15 reps for the single leg squat. Now, those 3 tests. The first one, standing toe touch. Why is that important? Your back side needs to bend. Your lower back needs to bend. Your hamstrings, your glutes, need to be able to flex and bend, right? Flex and extend. So that tells us if you cannot touch your toes, that's going to impact your lower back and the tissues around your lower back. So it's a proactive way. Learning how to touch your toes, building mobility to touch your toes is really important. The second test is thoracic rotation. Why is thoracic rotation important? Well, our thoracic area holds our heart, our lungs, right? Part of our gut, our diaphragm. And if it's stiff from sitting all day, it impacts our lower back, right? If the more stiff our thoracic spine is, that means the more movement our lower back needs to compensate, which causes pain. An area that's often missed when medical providers or people only focus on low back pain, they miss out on this area. So literally that test, rotation, can be a treatment as well. Literally the standing toe touch, right? You can do that sitting down, can be the treatment as well. The third test is single leg squat. That's the hardest one. Why I'm out of breath. I do actually a lot of mountain running, weightlifting, still challenging. But why is it important? Because our legs, our strength in our legs support our lower back, especially our glutes. Now that single leg squat test doesn't just test our glutes. It tests the strength of our entire lower body. But our lower body supports our lower back. It needs to be strong. Ideally, you get to 15 reps, okay? With the single leg squat. And you want that chair to be around knee height, okay? But if you're going to test it, test the same chair each time. Ideally around knee height. But that's the key, is it'll test functionally how strong each leg is. And you want the reps to be within 2 reps of each other. So my left to right, well, I didn't get to 15. My left leg was 8 reps. My right leg was 10. So they're within 2 rep difference. There's a 2 rep difference, which is good. That's enough. Anything more than that could be a problem. And so those are 3 things that you can do to see if your low back is healthy. You might have pain. You might have a bulge disc like I do, or multiple herniations, but how functional is your back? Do those 3 tests to find out. And then what I'm going to do is pop in the link, the chat after this, the Lifestyle RX PDF that you can download, right? And use, and we've got some great low back drills on there. You'll see there's like a man, woman thing, and it's got little dots pointing to the lower back. You can use your phone to click on the QR code and look at those videos. But literally the tests that we did, standing toe touch, standing rotation, single leg squat, can be your treatment as well. Incorporate that, especially I call it the workout sandwich. Incorporate those 3 drills, those 3 tests into your warm-up, right? And into your cool down, at least the first 2, right? Incorporate it into your warm-up, definitely, and some in your cool down. And that will help you prepare also for your workout, right? That's another deficit. People forget to do a warm-up and even a cool down, which is really, really important. So if you have any questions, I know Dr. Marissa's in the chat. She can answer some of them, but that's really important, at least on LinkedIn. She's in LinkedIn. It's really important to know that you can help your low back be more functional. Your active life isn't over. I know many senior level leaders who kind of let themselves go because they have low back pain. They've got pain in other areas, arthritis, and it's kind of cost them their active life, which impacts how they show up as leaders, their productivity, energy, all that. And as I was sharing with Stiletto earlier, the well-being, the stuff that you do, regardless of pain, right? I don't want you to be in excruciating pain, but regardless of dysfunction that we have or issues, exercise, movement, meditation, food, sleep. Today, we're talking about movement mostly. We need that to show up as the best version of ourselves, to be innovative and creative. Just doing those little drills that we just did will help wake up your brain and prepare you for a big meeting, prepare you for a workout, prepare you to start your day, right? So think about where you can infuse those 3 drills, And what I would suggest is that you spend a couple minutes doing toe touches in the morning, just bending over, touching your toes, getting that motion in, or sitting on the ground and touching your toes. And then also spend a couple minutes rotating one side, rotating the other, 2 minutes each, right? So that's 6 minutes total now. And then do the single leg squat test in the morning. Simple, one time. And that takes a minute and a half. So there you have it. You've got 7.5 to 8 minutes of 3 different exercises outside of what I send you on the Lifestyle RX to do to help you with your lower back. So now when you go to the doctor and he's like, what have you been doing for your low back? You have something to give them versus, I don't know, I'm not doing anything, which is typically the answer, right? I've heard people have injuries years and years ago and maybe did a little bit of therapy, but haven't stayed consistent with their maintenance. Well-being, your movement, motion is lotion, your movement, your well-being is a need to have every day. Consider this part of your medication, your medication each day. Meditation is a form of medication. You just don't take it. You do it. It's an action. This is a form of medication, but motion is lotion medication. So if you have any questions, pop them in the chat. We'll put the link to the Lifestyle RX in the chat as well. And I hope you all have a wonderful day. We will see you next month. And if you're an organization and need an inspiring or motivating keynote speaker for your next sales meeting, reach out to me. This is what I do for a living. I get to travel and work with many organizations with my team. We often do longer, extensive trainings as well, but we meet people where they're at and help them be the most innovative, healthy culture they can be. So have a good one. I'm Dr. T with Movement RX.